Welcome to the third session of the series, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Conquering the Impacts of COVID-19 on Small Business. Webinars and podcasts created for you by the New Mexico Community Development Loan Fund, a nonprofit CDFI, which provides business financing and consulting services to New Mexico entrepreneurs. Weighing your conclusions. Having completed your business assessment through the previous sessions, you probably now have a clearer picture of where your business stands and maybe where you want to go from here. So let's go back and review the fundamental questions from session 1. Are you satisfied with the present state of your business? Do you think you're in trouble? Regardless of whether you're in trouble or not, are you willing to make changes? Keep these 3 fundamental questions in mind while we explore the basic 3 options any business may have to face. To be sure, each of these general headings contains several options. We'll be touching on a few of the main ones. Should I get out of the business? Should I stay the course? Should I pivot? Remember that you shouldn't decide on any of the options until you've looked into as many of them as you believe may be applicable to your situation and are worth considering. You're still evaluating facts at this time. All right, should I get out of the business? This is a very deep and troubling question to ask yourself, and you really must know what your reasons are. It's a sad day when you finally decide that you're getting out of the business for which you worked so hard. So why would you consider such a course of action? Are you at a point in your life where you're looking at other options? Perhaps you have new priorities. The questions then are whether you have a succession plan, someone to take over and carry on, and whether there's value and assets in the case of liquidation or sale. Whichever your exit situation is, there are always money questions. Is there value in the business? Enough value to meet your retirement needs or to attract a buyer? If the business is still profitable, a professional valuation of the business will tell you what you can expect and help you decide what direction to follow. If you feel you're not ready to exit, but conditions are forcing you out, you have a different set of questions to answer. First and most important, why is the business losing money? Can you find the problem, correct it, and restore your business model? Next, is there value in the business? Does the business have assets? And finally, if there's no value or assets, can you afford to continue being in this business? Some things to consider about your money questions. Ask yourself why the money is an issue. Is it a matter of right pricing your job costs? Do you have too much debt and not enough income? Too much overhead and high operating costs? Not enough work coming in the door? Well, some of these problems can be turned around if you're willing to take a new approach. If you succeed, if you pivot, perhaps you won't have to close your business. However, if all the answers to your questions point at you're getting out of the business, doing so isn't as simple as taking down your sign and walking away. There will likely be tax consequences, and there may be short-term obligations that you'll have to address, such as accounts payable and any pending accounts receivables, employees if you have any, leases still in force, and so on. What this all means is that exiting your business needs to be planned for ahead of time and carried out in an organized manner so that it costs you as little as possible and avoids having unresolved legal issues follow you after you've closed the business. Then there are the motivation questions. Do I even want to be in this business any longer? Is this work still interesting enough? Is there a different occupation I'd prefer to explore? Owning your business is a lot of work and responsibility. If you're working in the day-to-day of the business as well as managing the business, then you're doing 2 jobs. So if you feel you've lost the passion for your own path and the commitment to do whatever it takes to make it happen, is it because of burnout, which can't be fixed except by doing something else? Or is it about becoming discouraged, which you can change? Oftentimes, this is brought on or intensified because of financial difficulties or things unrelated to the business. It's important to know this. And finally, there are the viability questions. Is there even a market for the product my business provides? Is the market saturated? While there are businesses that resist becoming obsolete, think of plumbers, there are other types of businesses that can't avoid it, such as shoe repair. Most shoes today are disposable, manufactured so they can't be repaired, and therefore shoe repair businesses have all but disappeared. Plumbers, on the other hand? The point of this simple example is that life evolves constantly, and the businesses that support it must evolve constantly to continue being viable. Certainly, if you truly believe there's no demand for your product, that would be a reason to get out of the business. But first, ask yourself if it's the product that has no demand, or is there no demand for the services your business provides? Absolutely no demand for your type of product is unlikely, but your product being behind the times may be more likely. In that case, perhaps you want to explore adapting your product, bringing it up to date so it's competitive in the marketplace. As for lack of demand for your services, there are numerous reasons that could cause it, one of the major causes being market saturation, particularly true if your market segment is lucrative. This is a situation you can't control, but if you can adapt your business and reposition yourself, you may be able to differentiate your business and reinvent your market segment. Should I stay the course? Well, it's our nature to stick with what we're comfortable, and more so when it's business with investments of time and energy and money. But there may come a time when you have to reconsider that attitude, and that's a tough decision. If your business has been experiencing a steady decline that may be worsening due to the market's realignment, or perhaps you've experienced a major sudden drop in revenues, it's clear something needs to be done. In the case of a sudden revenue drop, can you identify the cause? Your financials should allow you to project how long your operating cash and your reserves will last at your rate of revenue decline. After you have assessed your business financial situation, the only question you really need to ask yourself is, how long will I stay the course? The longer you stay, the fewer options you'll have in the future to change direction. And if you go broke waiting for things to turn around, you'll have no option but the most severe form of going out of business. Deciding to stay the course is the riskiest gamble you can take unless you find a way to gain control over the conditions that may have caused your problem in the first place. And if you have opted to not change anything or try adapting to changing conditions, you're trusting that things will go back to the way they used to be, and you have no way to influence the outcome. Should I pivot? It's important to point out that the pivot option is not for everyone. It's not guaranteed to succeed, and it is not possible in some cases. But when it's done right, it can put your struggling business back in the game, stronger and more resilient than before. The adaptation that must take place for a pivot option does come with a cost, but it also gives you some control over the direction your business will take. First, you must be willing to make changes where they're needed. Regardless of your emotional attachment, you'll need a plan to guide you and full commitment to see it through once you start. Second, you must be completely honest in your assessment of your business's strengths and weaknesses. No excuses. Your tally of strengths and weaknesses is the foundation for the action plan, which will guide you through the process. Third, this process carries a certain amount of disruption, so you must determine what level of disruption your business can tolerate. And be prepared to put in as many hours as it takes. And there will be a financial cost to execute the pivot option, which will depend on the scale of changes you propose. Fourth, you will have to continue running your existing business, keeping it going, but at the same time, you need to be preparing your plan that defines what your future business post-pivot will look like. And come up with a transition plan, how you're going to get there from here. Although you are positioned as the decision maker and provide the drive to pivot, you will need your team to help you figure out how to organize the transition. There are multiple aspects to be addressed all at once, so find the competent people outside your business whom you can trust to help chart your course. For example, it's worth noting that the disruptive part of the pivot option offers you an opportunity to clean house, shedding unproductive relationships and problematic customers as part of the reorganization and repositioning you're implementing. All right, let's recap. At this point, you've covered the questions regarding the most common issues a struggling business will have to deal with when facing a difficult situation. Do you quit the business? Do you stay the course? Do you pivot? We skimmed over the main points to consider for each option, and now we'll explore those options further. In the next session, Planning Your Action Plan, we will discuss how your conclusions can be converted into a dynamic plan to guide you through whichever option you have decided to follow.